Hello, Facebook friends and family. It's Brian Still, Vice President and General Manager for Royal Oil Company out of Fort Worth, Texas. Listen, this is a much better environment than driving around in my truck recording videos for you guys, trying to figure out exactly the best way to get information to you, share information about who we are as a company, the types of products that we make, how we can help your business or friends and family that own business, run equipment, things of that nature. Let me start off by saying, please, share this content. Tag people if you know someone that runs equipment, that manages or owns a business where equipment is a primary part of their operation. I can't encourage you enough. Have them reach out to us. We really want to help people. We've grown our business at a tremendous rate over the last 4 to 5 years, 5 to 6 years really, since we went through a rebranding. And that is due primarily to referrals and word of mouth. Obviously, we're growing our brand, but we can't thank individuals that share their stories of success with our products with people they know. And social media is an ideal platform for that. Now, with that being said, real quick, what I want to do is run through the number one thing that we try to express to people right out of the gate when they start talking to us about their operation, their equipment, the lubricants that they're currently using. I've been in this business for 15 years, and I would dare say 90% of the people that I come across have a lot of room for improvement in regards to the grease that they're using, the amount of grease that they can go through, the amount of time they spend greasing, how well their equipment is protected, bearing replacements, bushings, pins, all of those things. You can improve that aspect, those aspects of your business exponentially by going to a better grease. Here's the thing you want to look at. 5 things you need to know or 5 things you need to look at when you're shopping for grease. Even if you never use our product, these things will lend themselves well to your overall success. Extreme pressure capabilities. Greases will go through a lot of strain and stress due to extreme pressure in the application. Jolting, jarring, vibrations, pounding. What happens is grease gets displaced. When grease gets displaced, your metal components are exposed. You have the potential for contaminants getting into that into that application because a quality grease that stays placed will actually act as a contaminant barrier. You're going to have to re-grease more frequently. You're going to be using more grease. So extreme pressure rating, it's something really critical you want to look at. 55 to 60 pounds is the average extreme pressure rating of a grease in the industry. Ultima 2100 has a 100-pound Temkin load, which is just about double what you're going to find in most greases on the market. Next thing you want to look at is water washout. Why water washout? Whether it's equipment that's operating in a wet environment, equipment that runs hot and then potentially can be exposed to water or moisture, displacing grease. Maybe it's washing equipment. I know we recently started working and doing a lot of business with some local customers in the concrete business. They wash their trucks excessively. When they do that, they wash grease out. Water washout is really important because, again, like extreme pressure, how well the grease resists washout is going to impact how much grease you go through, how often you're greasing, the potential for contaminants getting into an application because of lack of grease, parts cost, et cetera, et cetera. So you want a grease that resists washout. The average grease in the industry has a 4 to 7, actually probably more of a 5 to 10% water washout. Ultima 2100 is 0.67%. It's one of a handful of greases I know of globally that has less than 1% washout. So right there, 2 of the 5. Extreme pressure rating, water washout. Next, what you want to look at is wear protection. One of the reasons that you lubricate your equipment is to prevent wear. There is a standard test called your 4-ball wear test, and what that test is designed to do is measure the amount of wear allowed to a metal surface when that surface is protected by a particular grease. The test results are published in millimeters. The average wear scar test in the industry yields a result of about 0.5 millimeter to 0.65 of 65% of 1 millimeter in wear over the duration of that test. Ultima 2100 is a 0.33 millimeter wear scar. It's one of the lowest I know of in the industry, and Ultima 3100 actually bests that at 0.25 millimeters because of the moly. We'll go through that at another time. But so now you've got extreme pressure rating. We have an industry best, something you want to look at. It's going to impact consumption. It's going to impact greasing intervals and parts life. Same with water washout. Wear protection. We're reducing your wear by a substantial amount by utilizing our grease. Next thing you want to look at is operating temperature. A lot of greases on the market claim to have high dropping points or no dropping point at all if they are a high temperature grease. The reality of it is even your non-melting, high-temp, traditional clay-based type greases are still going to have a maximum operating temperature. And what you'll find is often they're in the high 400s, low 500s. High 400s, low 500s, rather. And you're not getting the maximum amount of protection that you could get. What you have to understand is you may not be operating at temperatures that are that high, but as your equipment runs consistently and you have higher ambient temperatures as we get into the hotter time of the year, oils will thin. The grease will break down as temperatures elevate. And so what happens is as you reach temperatures that are closer and closer to the end of the capability of that particular grease, you're going to see performance standards go down. You're going to see that Temkin load performance drop. You're going to see the washout happen much easier. So having that cushion as far as a high operating temperature really helps in certain applications. Ultima 2100 has a 630 degree dropping point and a 570 degree F continuous operating temperature. I can tell you now that's exceptional. Start doing your comparisons and doing your homework. You're not even going to find anything really close to that unless you get into some really specific high temperature greases. And then what happens, you're dealing with greases that have Temkin loads in the 30s, washouts 15 plus. You're just not getting the full product if you get anywhere really above that. So now that's extreme pressure, that is water washout, that is premium wear protection, and then you've got the cushion of the operating temperature. Now here's the feather in our cap as far as I'm concerned, and this is the thing that really separates us from others in the industry. This is, in my opinion, the coolest thing about what we do. So it takes us 4 days to make a batch of Ultima 2100. It's a process that is really dedicated to time and temperature. It's fascinating. The team that we have in Mansfield, Texas at our plant they're second to none, and we owe our success really to them because they're masters of their craft, if you will. But Ultima 2100, like Red Max and Ultima 3100, is a zero oil loss grease. Now, what I mean by that is, most of you that have ever used grease, you've been around lubricants, will know that you can pick a tube of grease up off a shelf and you'll see a ring of oil sitting there. You'll look into a tube of grease and you'll see that the grease is cracked or it's got oil sitting on top. What's happening there is that your oil is separating from your thickener. Grease is comprised of two key components. You have a thickener, which is your carrier to deliver the second part, which is the oil, which is actually what lubricates the application. If your grease, this is my number one piece of advice to people that buy grease to protect anything, a lawnmower or a $500,000 combine. If your grease is leaking oil in the tube, don't buy that grease. If it will separate in the tube at ambient temperature on the shelf in a parts store, what will happen when you put it in your equipment? It really is the number one thing that you want to look at, and that's why I'm finishing with that, because I really want that to stick in your mind. 0% oil separation. This grease will never bleed. You'll never open the tube and see it cracked. You'll never see oil sitting on top. You'll never pick up a tube and feel oil sitting on the bottom. It just doesn't happen. And that goes back to selection of raw materials, the process that we use to design our lubricants, and the process that we use to manufacture our products. It's absolutely second to none. So look at these things if you're buying grease. Again, even if you never do business with us, what you want to look at is you want to look at extreme pressure capability. You want to look at water washout. Those two things are going to be critical in regards to how much grease you use. We can reduce your consumption there. You're going to want to look at wear. How much wear is allowed? If all other things are equal, you want something that's going to reduce wear at a better rate. It saves your component life, it extends the life of your equipment, and it reduces your operating cost. Next, you want to look at operating temperature. Give yourself a cushion, especially if you're in applications where you're running excessive loggers, farmers in the ag industry that are running combines all day. There's a lot of applications where recently we worked with the Deutsches out of California, CV joints in their UTVs when they ran Vegas to Reno. That's an application that takes a pounding. That was an 8 to 9 hour race, basically nonstop, and those CV joints were just smoking. They ran Ultima 2100, had 0 grease loss during that race. So again, that operating temperature plays a critical role in certain applications. And then finally, what you want to look at is that oil separation. That's the one where you really want to hang your hat. If you started today and said, I'm not going to use a grease that bleeds, even if you never used our grease, if you find another one that doesn't bleed, use it. You'll be better off for it. Your operation will be better off for it. Listen, I hope that helps. If you've got questions, send us a message, and we look forward to talking to you guys again. Remember, share this content, tag people. We'd love to reach out. We'd love to help them change the way they lubricate their business and put more money in their pocket in 2019. Till we meet again, thanks.